Welcome to U-Wrench. Today working on the Grand Caravan. This is the Mark V, also applies to the Chrysler Town & Country. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to replace the AC compressor clutch kit. So to gain access to the AC compressor, it's located just behind this panel here. So of course, going to jack up the car and remove the wheel on the front right hand side. And then we've got this plastic cover right here that we need to remove. And to remove this, you'll find that there's a small screw just up here and a second one just up here. And then you also find a third screw here at the front. Now on our car, unfortunately, the screws have long since rotted away and actually been replaced with these plastic clips. But you should have screws in those three positions to get those removed. And then you've got this plastic clip that connects the two panels together. Useful thing for getting this removed is these little clips. You can pick these up cheap on Amazon. You can do it with a flathead screwdriver. It's a little bit tricky. These do make it a little bit easier. Come in behind the clip, squeeze the pliers. You can remove this panel, just drop it down and out of the way. So first thing we need to do is remove the auxiliary drive belt. Now this belt's not actually been in this car all that long, so we want to reuse this belt. However, if you don't know how old your belt is, and of course this is an ideal opportunity to get it changed. And we have done a video on how to change it. If you need any help with that, we'll add links to that video in the video description for you. But we're going to be reusing this belt. So what we want to do is we want to mark it before we remove it, so that when we come to put it back on, we're definitely putting it back on in exactly the same orientation that it was when we removed it. I've got a little flat area just up here that's quite easy to see. So I'm going to mark that with an arrow, and I'm also going to put a letter on there as well. So I know as long as that arrow points to the left and I can read that letter, when I put it back in that section there, it will be in the correct orientation. Now I've got that marked up, we can go ahead and get this belt removed. So now you want to grab a wrench, either a 3/8 or a 1/2 inch, depending on what the hole is, here at the top of the tensioner. You want to make sure that you set this to undo, because you're going to be turning it in this direction. And then as we turn that will make the belt become a little bit slacker around all these pulleys. And so what you want to do is you want to remove it from the smallest pulley possible. And that's actually the one up in the top right hand corner, which is the alternator. So up at the top right hand side, that's the alternator there, just above the AC compressor. And that's the smallest pulley, so that's where I'm going to be releasing the belt from, that smallest pulley on the alternator. So pop this into the tensioner, and you're just going to move in this direction to release the tension on the belt. So push it, hold it, up to this corner, move the belt around a little bit, and it should just come up off of that top corner there and release the tensioner. And then we just want to remove this belt from around all of these pulleys here. And bring it down out of the way. So let's take a quick look at the AC compressor clutch kit that we're going to be using to replace our old one. Let's have a quick look at what we get in the kit here. So there's our new fixings, including snap rings. We have the new magnetic coil and also the pulley with the bearing. And this is the new front plate as well. So as you can see, these kits come with everything that you're going to need to replace the entirety of the front of your AC compressor unit. And thankfully, these kits aren't very expensive at all. We picked this one up on Amazon, and this was only $62 for the full kit. And we will be adding Amazon links into the video description for this kit. And so if you find this video helpful, please be sure to help support what we do here. Please be sure to click on those Amazon links. Now, one important thing to point out, these kits are designed to be a direct replacement for the factory original AC compressor. And on the Dodge Grand Caravan, the original compressors are made by Mopar. And so if you happen to know that you've had a replacement AC compressor in the past and it was an aftermarket one, not the factory original Mopar one, then this may not fit. And of course, there's so many different aftermarket ones that they can't make these kits to fit every aftermarket option. These are designed specifically for the factory originals. And so if you're unsure, you might want to take a little look at the label that you've got on the original compressor before you buy your kit. When it comes to the removal of this front plate that we have here, I'm just demonstrating this on the brand new one to make it easy for you to see. You're going to have a bolt in the middle there, and when you undo that bolt, especially if it's got a bit of age, maybe a bit of corrosion in there, this whole thing is going to want to turn at the same time. So ideally what we want to do is we want to counter hold this, lock this into place whilst we attack the bolt in the centre. And thankfully they make just the tool for the job. This is a clutch holding tool that we have here, and it comes with just a metal plate basically with a handle and 3 adjustable little locking bars. And these aren't very expensive. You can pick these up on Amazon for around the $20 mark, and again you will find Amazon links in the video description for these. And the way that it works for our Grand Caravan here, I've set each of these pins just under their maximum setting, and we don't have any holes as such, but we do have these 2 separate sections. You see we've got these 3 pins on these little tabs around the outer edge. So what we'll do is we'll just place the tool, just lock it in just above these little sections that have the little pin in there, so just to the left. So as this wants to rotate in this direction, if we get that in there, locked in place there, and what will happen is it's going to lock against the pin, and that's going to, and obviously it'll do all 3 at the same time, and that's going to stop this from being able to rotate, and that will allow us to access the bolt in the centre. Once you've got it cracked off, just remove it from the socket, shouldn't be very tight. Let's get this bolt completely removed. If you have a look on the inside of the front plate, you'll notice that it does have splines on the inside here. Sometimes it can be a little bit tight, a little bit of rot or corrosion in there. So try pulling it off. If we don't pull it off, you can give it a couple of taps on the front with a rubber mallet. And you'll also notice that the new kit here comes with, this one actually comes with 2. These are called shims. Basically they're just washers. So have a look on the front of the assembly. This one's actually come off, on the inside here. So we need to make sure that this is out of the way. So for the next 2 sections are held in with snap rings. This is the one that we're going to be attacking first. So to get these removed, you're going to need some snap ring pliers, such as these. The 90-degree ones are best for this. And again, these aren't particularly expensive. You can pick up a complete set, a decent set of these for about $30 on Amazon. Links in the video description if needed. Essentially what we're going to do is place these 2 little pins in these 2 little holes, here and here. And then we use the pliers to stretch it open, and then we should be able to remove that ring from the assembly. This is where I'm really glad that I had the multi-pack of these circlips. I actually had to change to the shorter ones, the smaller ones, to get this removed. The angle was very awkward. This was kind of butting up against the hose and these bits of metal, and so when I switched to these, it gave me the access, and it was tight even with these. I'm glad I had the full set. Still being quite stubborn, so I'm just going to run a little hook tool around the edge there. So there's a little bit of white corrosion in there. Run that around the edge just to try and separate those 2. I think I'll put a bit of penetration spray on there as well to soak in, just to try and get this the maximum possibility of popping out. drawing forward now, little by little. So our pulley with bearing was quite well stuck on. I did try one of these type of bearing pullers, and I have got a larger one than this, but there wasn't enough space for it, and unfortunately we just couldn't get this to work either. Thankfully we've also got this sat right here, and this is known as a bearing separator kit. You can pick these up for about $30 for the entire kit on Amazon. If you are buying one, you've got to make sure it comes with these two little hook arms. Not all of them do. We will be adding Amazon links for these into the video description for you, and the sets that we'll add will be the cheapest sets, and they'll definitely come with these arms. So I'll show you exactly how we set this up on our pulley. So the parts that we used: two arms, the bracket, and the centre threaded rod. So all we did is we set the two arms up onto the bracket, and then you can latch that in behind the pulley. So you get these arms tucked in behind the pulley. Make sure that they're nice and straight and square. When you've got them in a good position that you're happy with, you can go ahead and tighten these up. And then finally you get your threaded rod that screws down the centre. And that's going to actually touch the end here. And remember, we did put the little bolts back at the end just to help protect things. And so this screws down onto the end there, on which you've got your bolt. And then as that pushes down on the end of that bolt, these arms are going to pull upwards. And you just tighten it, tighten this, and this will slowly be pulled forward. So this is exactly the setup that we used to get ours removed. I'm really glad that we have this tool, because we wouldn't have been able to do this job without it. Like I said, if you need one of these, you haven't already got one, Amazon links in the video description. So we now have access to the magnet coil here, and this does have a snap ring right there in the middle. So we're going to do exactly the same as we did on the last one, get the snap ring pliers and get that removed. So before we remove our magnet coil, we've got this electrical connection on the side of the compressor just here. Red security tab, push that all the way up. You've got a little lever right here at the back end, push that down and give it a bit of a wobble. That should come off like that. So next we're going to slide this off in this direction. It's like a little tab in the back that holds it in. Manipulate it a little bit. Should be able to slide that off that metal pin there. We've got to remove this screw to get this bracket off to be able to get this wire back through. Just cleaning out the head a little bit. I'll put a bit of penetration spray on there as well. There it is with everything now removed. So I'm just going to grab some brake cleaner, give this all a bit of a clean up before we look at attaching anything back on. If you look at the back of our coil before we fit it, you should find you've got this little kind of raised part, this little dimple just here. That actually is going to fit into a slot that you have on the back of the assembly there. So slide that over and make sure that clicks into that little slot. So you shouldn't be able to move it. It shouldn't rotate once you're in that slot. So now grab the round circlip and your circlip pliers, and this needs to be installed. So for the routing of this cable, I'm kind of comes under the plate, it comes down here and through this gap to the side, like that. And then we just slide this on like that. And that pin should hold it firmly in place. Yep, that's locked on. You can recollect our electrical connection. All the way until it clicks. Push the safety tab down. Now we reinstall our pulley and bearing assembly. It needs to slot over the top of the magnet coil there. It's unlikely you'll be able to push this on all the way by hand. And so, following the Dodge Workshop manual, grab yourself a piece of wood and a rubber mallet, and we'll use these to continue to push that back. Now we're going to fit the new snap ring. With these snap rings you want to make sure that they're fully seated. Sometimes they don't quite click in behind. So if you're concerned that it's not, give it a light gentle tap. And once you knock it back you should see it click into place. So now I've got to put this little washer back in. Here's the original one right here, and the new one actually comes with two washers, but they're both thinner. And I've put these in some verniers and measured them, and the approximate width of both of these stacked is about the same as the old one. So I'm going to put both of these in to start off with. We will be measuring the gap, the space towards the end, which is why it's important with these spacers that we get this correct. So for the spacers, first of all I'm going to put the bolt through to hold them in place. And then I'm going to drop these two washers on the top, make sure that I'm happy with those, and that's ready to be fitted. So just push that on, and then get the new bolt finger tight in the centre. So now you want to grab yourself a feeler gauge set, because we need to make sure that the gap between the plate on the front and the pulley meets the factory specification. And Dodge lists the specification for the gap as being 0.35 millimeters to 0.60 millimeters, which is 0.014 inches to 0.024 inches. So your gap has to be within that specification, and if it's not, then you have to add more spacers until it is. So I've got the 0.014 gauge here, so I'm going to test for this first. This is the minimum, so this has to fit, otherwise I need to increase it. And remember, at this stage all I've done is I pushed it in all the way by hand, and I've just tightened the bolt by hand. So the washers haven't even been crushed in any way yet, so this is kind of the biggest possible gap, so this should fit. You want to try and insert that in the line between the two. Now this will not go. So that's telling me that we're going to have to, unfortunately, put more washers in. So I think we're going to use the original washer and then pack that out a little bit with one, and if we need it, two of the brand new washers. I'll just show you on the old one here. This plate should sit a little bit proud. I'm exaggerating it, but there should be a tiny gap between the two, and that's where you can use that gauge to make sure that it can fit into that gap. If it's too tight and you can't get that in, we need to move this whole thing forwards. And in the workshop manual they recommend you actually test it in 4 different places around the circumference. So now I've got to tighten that centre bolt up to the correct specification, which is 19 Newton meters, which is 168 inch-pounds. So we've had to play around with a little combination of washers behind it, but we've now got it done. This is the larger of the two feelers. You can see that one does not go in. This is the that's the maximum spec, so it has to be smaller than that, but bigger than this. So this one should fit. Oh, get it straight. Yeah. No problem there. So the biggest one doesn't fit and the smallest one does, which is exactly what we'd hoped to see. So that's perfect. Then I'm just going to check that the pulley spins freely, which it does. So now we're going to refit our auxiliary drive belt. Now for the routing of this belt, it's actually very simple. It does go over the top of the tensioner here, but apart from that, it just goes around the outside of everything. So it comes around the outside of all of these pulleys, back down across the alternator, your AC, and the only exception is your water pump here. So the belt needs to come from the AC unit back up, over the top of the water pump, back down to the crank, but apart from that and the tensioner, everything just goes around the outside. And very importantly, because I'm refitting my old belt, I'm making sure I can still read this letter, the arrow is still pointing in the same direction. So I've now got the belt seated around everything apart from the alternator, just like we did when we removed it. The alternator, being the smallest one, is going to be the last one that we put it onto. Just make sure that everything's correctly seated in all of the grooves on all of these pulleys, make sure it all feels good. And once it does, we can adjust the tensioner and fit it up onto the alternator here. Then as you release the tension again, check the seating on these belts. And once you're happy with that, we're just going to tension it up a couple of times. Give you a bit of two or three pumps. And that's job done. And so there we have it. That's how to replace the AC clutch kit on the Grand Caravan. So now what you need to do is refit that plastic panel, and you're ready to put your wheel back on and lower the car. And please remember, if this video has been helpful for you, we have the links to those AC clutch kits on Amazon in the video description. So if it's been helpful, please help us in return. Please be sure to check out those links. So thank you for watching, it's very much appreciated. Before you leave us, be sure to at least hit that like button for us. Whilst you're there, why not also hit that subscribe? We've got hundreds more videos on these cars just waiting for you to take a look at. So thank you once again, don't forget those links, and we'll catch you on the next video.